All right, here we are ready for week 3 volleyball. We think they look like volleyballs, and this is a 12-row repeat that you will do 6 times in one color, and it is lace, but it's a simple lace, and it's going to be a great way for you to learn and practice the lace pattern. You'll get used to the rhythm. So I'm going to give you some tips for making this section, helping to keep this section on track. Okay, here we are doing our first row of this lace work. Really, really important that you put markers in each repeats, and the repeats are 14 stitches. So there's 14 stitches. Super, super important. Those of us that are experienced knitters use markers. So if you come into the shop and need help in this section and you don't have markers, we're probably going to send you home and say, get your markers in. So we use them. It saves us time. It saves us headaches of having to tear the project out. So when you're doing your beginning, you want to use that. When you do the very first row at the beginning, you'll want to use that. Now, you're not going to see it. Let me see if I can fold this down a little bit so that it was not showing through with the lace. But you want to look at your knitting and say, what's the rhythm of it? So you're seeing that there are some garter segments between what we are calling the volleyballs, and then there is this line of knitting that's going to run the entire length of this section. So something that's important is that you learn to read your knitting and that you learn what you're doing. So sometimes you'll be knitting and purling, but you're doing this on one side and knitting on the other side, but you're doing it in a rhythm. So let's look at what this first section is about. So it's about purl 2, and then it is knit 2 together, and then yarn over, knit 1, and you can see that's my whole line there of my knit stitches, and then yarn over, and then an SSK. And an SSK is slip as to knit, slip as to knit. And you know, that yarn over is kind of loose there. It'll take care of itself when we do this. You put your needle in the front of those stitches you slipped and knit them together. And be very careful to make sure on both the knit 2 together here and the SSK here that you're getting your needle all the way into the back of that stitch, because sometimes when we get drop stitches, it's because we didn't catch these. And then you're going to purl 4, and you can see here that the volleyballs are offset. So we're going to create a solid piece of fabric above this one from the time before. And then it's knit 1, because there's our line of knits. And then we're going to be back to our purl 2. Flip your stitch marker over and let's do it again. Purl 2. And now we're going to create that next volleyball that's here. And that's knit 2 together. Remember, I like to pull my fabric down a bit. Stick your needle in. Make sure you get it all the way in so you get a good wrap of both of the stitches. Yarn over, knit 1, yarn over, SSK, which is slip 1, put your needle in the front, knit them together through the back. Purl 2, actually purl 4, knit 1, and purl 2. Okay, we're going to come back on the back side, and once again, we'll talk about what do you do, especially if you've forgotten to do a yarn over. Okay, now we're on the back side of our lace, or row 2. And so I'm in between my markers, so my 14 stitches. And so let's get started. We're going to knit 2, purl, and then it is knit 4. And you can see that you're knitting the knit stitches. So there is that rhythm. There's always rhythm in knitting. And now we're ready for purl 5. And your purl 5 is always at the beginning of your yarn over. So there's a 1 stitch and then there should be a yarn over. There's not a yarn over. So I'm going to show you how to just go down and grab that. So we'll purl the first one, and then we want to come down and find the bar, the stitch that's floating there, and you want to put it on the needle in the same direction as that one, from back to front. And then you purl into that, purl into the next one. And remember, sometimes when we pull that, see how easy it is to pull off that yarn over? So you have to be conscious of that as you're working these rows. Lace is not the easiest to go back and fix. And so the more time and attention you give this along the way, the less headache you'll have. I'm not a lace fan, but I do enjoy a little of it because I think it's good for my brain and it challenges my brain. The other thing you can do, I know it's tedious, but you can stop and count. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 before you go any further. That's why the markers, have I said that enough? Markers, markers, markers. That's why the markers are important, because you can catch all of your mistakes before you get all the way to the end. Now for row 3, I want to show you how we do create the lace in row 3. So the first stitches are to purl 2, and then knit 1, and then yarn over. So we're going to continue to create that lace. And then it will say in the pattern, it says S2KP2. So what does that mean? It means slip 2 together knitwise. So you're going to go in over here and you're going to stick your needle in. And again, make sure you're getting it all the way in so you're not losing one of those stitches. Slip them off knitwise, knit to the next stitch, and pass those 2 over. So you got to dig in there. You know, don't be afraid to open up the yarn as far as when you go in to get those, and then that creates a nice little decrease there so that you're not losing those stitches. And then yarn over. So now see, we're creating again that little bit of lace there. Yarn over, knit 1, purl 4, knit 1, and purl 2. And yahoo! I've made it to my marker correctly. So that's everything you need to know to work this lace pattern. I want you to look at, there is a 12 rows. And so the first 6 rows you create, calling them a volleyball right here. And then in the next 6 rows, you'll create it over here. So it is offset, which gives it a really pretty, beautiful look. And lace looks even more beautiful once you've blocked it. So when you're all done, you're going to be really pleased that you made it through this section and how it's going to look in your finished product.